Hi, I hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to NikkoVenture. So far, we've covered 3 out of 4 work shifts a typical care worker has in a typical Japanese special care elderly home. The morning shift, which starts from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., makes sure your granddad or grandmom regularly visits the toilet. The day shift, which starts from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., makes sure they eat well and on time. The afternoon shift from 12 noon to 9 p.m. will assist them in taking their bath. Today's topic, the night shift, will make sure your granddad or grandmom is still breathing. The night shift, or in Japanese, yakin, starts from 5 p.m. to 10 a.m. the following day. Yes, here in Japan, if you're the night shift staff, at least in a Japanese elderly home, you will have to work for 16 hours from sunset to way past sunrise. Endorsement. So the first thing a night shift care worker will do upon the start of his or her shift is endorsement, or in Japanese, moshiokuri. During this time, during moshiokuri, you will be accompanied by that day's, or in this case, that night's fellow night shift staff. It is during this time, which may last for at least 15 minutes, that pertinent information are endorsed or handed over by the outgoing staff to the incoming staff. You, the night shift. The endorsed information may include but is not limited to the status of terminally ill residents, incoming and outgoing residents, and vital signs. All, and I mean all, care workers are encouraged to attend or perform moshiokuri whenever their shift requires them to do so. And that includes you, the foreign care worker. And yes, endorsement notes are all written in Japanese. After moshiokuri, you will have to report to your respective floors. At this time, dinner would have already arrived. Now, it's important to remember that there are at least 3 night shift staff, at least in my facility. The first one will be in charge of meal assistance, dinner. The second one will be in charge of that night's medicines, while the third one is a bit of both. After dinner, it's time for that night's first round of diaper change. It's important to note, however, that at this time, the afternoon staff is still on the floor, so changing the residents' diapers will be divided between you and the afternoon staff. After that, it's time for your 45-minute break. But wait, since there will only be at least 3 night shift staff during the entire night, taking breaks and naps are done in a switching manner. That is, if one takes his or her break, another one will take that person's place for 45 minutes, or if it's nap time, for 2.5 hours. So on and so forth until all 3 night shift staff will have their 45-minute break. Dead or alive. While it's true that the duty of a night shift staff would include the sandai kaigo, the focus area of a yakin staff is the anpi kakunin, which can be roughly translated to the ascertainment of someone's safety. That is, the yakin staff, or you, the night shift care worker staff, will make sure that the residents, all 80 of them, are still breathing, or in this case, because it's nighttime, are all snoring. There are cases here that a resident, while still alive and kicking during dinner up until their bedtime, were found not kicking in the morning, either due to myocardial infarction, stroke, or it's just their time. So, to make sure a proper and quick response is done whenever a resident is having a stroke or a heart attack, the first thing a night shift staff do after their break is to have their rounds, or in Japanese, junkai. Junkai is very vital because it's at this time that you can check each resident's status. During this time, you may find a resident who has fallen off their bed or may have suffocated on their saliva or sputum. You may find a resident or residents that are still awake and are roaming the hall.
Ma'am, it's all right. Is there anybody else in the apartment with you? Any more animals? All right. Just calm down.
When there's nothing unusual, junkai is often followed by recording and that night's second round of diaper change. It's important to take note that at this time, all the residents are asleep and leading them towards the toilet is both time-consuming and impractical. And since the afternoon staff had already left the floor ages ago, it's the job of the yakin staff or the night shift care worker to change all the diapers of the residents alone. Where's the nurse? If you're planning to come here or work here as a care worker, it is important for you to know that not all Japanese elderly homes has a night shift nurse on duty. Japanese law doesn't require all elderly homes or most elderly homes to have a night shift nurse on duty. Why? I actually sifted through a lot of Japanese caregiving related articles and found out that the Japanese law only states that nurses are, at least in some elderly facilities, are not required to be on night duty. However, the rationale was left frustratingly unwritten. So I went to some Japanese blogs and found an interesting one. Mr. Private ID here asked the same questions we have. Why there are no nurses on duty at night, especially in a Tokyo? He was answered by this man, Mr. TMO asterisk to the power of 6. Basically, his reasoning is that at nighttime, the only things you do are to change the diapers, vital signs if needed, and anpikakunin. These things can be done by a caregiver alone. A nurse is not needed to do these things, he said or typed. There are no medicines given at this time, and simple medical procedures like sputum suctioning are done by a trained care worker. The only time a nurse is needed at night is when accidents occur, like falls or in some cases, the death of a resident. Personally, I agree with Mr. TMO asterisk to the power of 6 on this one. Your job as a night shift care worker, at least in my facility, revolves around changing the residents' diapers and anpikakunin. Well, there are some minor paperwork, but the bottom line is the things you do during night shift don't require a nurse's help. Unless there's an emergency, at that time, you should call the nurse. The nurse will give you instructions how to deal with that emergency in Japanese. Or in some cases, a doctor will be called on site. Nap time. I don't know about the other facilities, but here in my facility, a night shift care worker or a night shift caregiver is given 2.5 hours of nap, or in Japanese, kamin. It is important to note, however, that while the 1 hour break on your shift is unpaid, kamin is paid. With that reasoning alone, if there's an emergency, whether you're in the middle of your sweet nap, you are obliged to wake up and assist your fellow night shift staff.
So I strongly suggest that you wake the fuck up.
Otherwise, you should take some rest. Remember that you've already used your 45-minute break and your shift is far from over. You need whatever strength you still have for the rest of your day. That's because after your nap, it's time for Junkai, recording, and that shift's third round of diaper change. Of course, you still have to wake all the residents after these tasks are done. You will do these until breakfast arrives. At around 7 a.m., the morning shift care worker would have arrived and he or she will be a welcomed assistance for the rest of your shift. After the residents have eaten their meal, let the morning shift worry about oral care and bathroom assistance. You, the night shift staff, will have to clear the dishes and leftovers as well as lay the residents to bed. Then you proceed to clean the residents' portable toilets. After that, go and get some needed 15-minute break. Next, endorsement. I've been doing night shifts for several months already, and I've been doing endorsements for quite some time as well. If you're planning to come and work here as a care worker, let me tell you one thing. When you're the night shift staff scheduled to do the morning endorsement, make use of your break to read the endorsement notes in advance. If there's a character you don't understand, you can either ask your Japanese staff to teach it to you or use your phone. Use your phone. Do that before the endorsement proper. By doing so, you and the rest of your incoming care workers and nurses will have a smooth, stress-free endorsement. And you can avoid infuriating a staff who didn't have their breakfast. Remember that. They are inconsiderate people here. So yeah, most of the time after the morning endorsement, your shift also ends. That's around 10 in the morning. So you know the drill? One final check for any unfinished tasks and you're done for the day. Pack up your things and say, change your clothes and get the hell out of there. So that's it. That's the night shift, or in Japanese, yakin, from 5 in the afternoon to 10 in the morning the following day. I hope you've learned something from this video, especially those who plans to come and work here as a care worker. Remember that even if you are working or you are planning to work in a facility aside from Tokoyo, the work shift or the work routine is somewhat similar. Please don't forget to leave a like, share this video with a friend, and of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. It would really help the channel a lot. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Babush! The morning shift, which starts from 12... Wala akong tingog. Furthermore, the night shift staff has already went out. I've been doing night shifts for several months already and been doing, there will be called on spot, on site. Ano ko nag-spot? Why there are no nurse?